Hello and welcome back to the channel on our continuing voyage to become better blues players. My name's Mark, and in this video we're going to be looking at how to improve our improvisation. So this is following on in a series where we're looking at improvisation going all the way from never improvised before right through to professional, pro, can play, a full 2-hour set improvising all night. That's kind of the journey we're on. Up to now we've had 8 lessons which are really aimed at the beginner, just starting you get into starting improvisation. Now we're into kind of the intermediate section where we're going to look at how to improve our improvisations. And in this particular lesson I'm going to give you kind of the secret to how to make your improvisation sound good. And it's not a secret like anybody's trying to keep it a secret. It's just more like an incorrect assumption. And I think what it is, most people when they think of improvisation think, oh, making it up as you go along. Therefore, improvising a blues solo is playing one note. As that note is playing, think, okay, what note do I play next? And then picking another note and playing that. And then as that note's playing, thinking, oh, that doesn't sound too bad. I'll pick another note and picking another note and so on. Just kind of going from note to note to note. And actually the secret is that's not really how anybody improvises, because you can't really think that fast. The truth is that instead of improvising from note to note to note, what we tend to do is we improvise from lick to lick to lick. So a lick is basically just like a short musical phrase that we've already pre-learned, our fingers know how to play. And what we do is we play that lick, and while that lick's playing we think of another one. My guitar teacher from years ago when I took lessons, he described this as you turn up to your solo with a great big bag of licks, and you pull out the first lick and you play that, and while that's playing you have a rummage around and think, well, what lick shall I play next? And you find a nice one, and then you play that, and while your fingers are playing that one, you have a rummage around and think of your next lick. And it's kind of that way. And he would always say the more licks that you've got in that bag, then the more interesting your improvisation is going to be, the more interesting your solo is going to be. So that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to give you a specific exercise to help you get this idea of getting licks into your improvisation. So the way I'm going to do this is I've got 3 licks, and I want you to basically use those in a blues improvisation. For today's lesson, we're in the key of D. We're playing a D dominant blues. And I'm going to play you 3 licks. What I'm going to do is I will show you the 3 licks quickly. Then I'll play an improvisation where I'll basically going to try and drop these licks in as many times as I can. And then we'll come back on the other side and I'll teach you the licks one by one and then set you the exercise so you can do this yourself. Okay, so the first lick goes like this. Okay, the second lick goes like this. And the third lick goes like this. Okay, so those are my 3 licks. And I've got this blues improvisation in 12-bar blues. I'm going to kick the backing track on now. I don't know what I'm going to play, but I know I'm going to play those 3 licks at some point. I'm going to try and drop them in. Okay, so listen out for them. So here we go. Okay, so that was a little bit of a messy improvisation, but you get the idea. What I was doing is dropping those licks in as many times as I could. Now, in a real kind of jam situation, I'd never reuse the same lick so many times. But for the purpose of this exercise, that's what you kind of you see me do. Try and drop it in as many times as I can. And this is something I'll often do when I learn new licks. I'll put a backing track on and just see how I can use them, how I can actually build them into a solo or into an improvisation, by just kind of dropping them in as many times as I can. So it's an artificial sound and exercise, but it's a good way of kind of getting stuff under your fingers and getting you used to play them. Okay, so I'm going to teach you the licks now. They're really simple. They're in, as I say, we're in 12-bar blues in D. The backing track I'll put at the end of this track, but it's also a separate track on YouTube. So there'll be a link in the description below, so you can go and jam over this yourself as well. Okay, so lick 1 goes like this. That's it, kind of nice and slow. Okay, so what we're doing is we're starting 12th fret, G string, bend it up a whole tone. Then we're coming off to 10th fret of the B string, followed by 10th fret of the top E. And then what we're doing is grabbing 13 on the B and sliding it up 2 frets to the 15th. And giving it a shake when we get there. Okay? Nice and slow. If you're familiar with my channel, you've been looking at like some of my older videos and stuff, you'll be well familiar with that lick. I've taught that several times on this channel in different guises. Okay? Second lick then was this one. Okay, so what we're doing is we're taking this, where are we? 15th fret of the top E string, up a whole tone and then back to the 15th. Then what we're doing is 13 and then back to 15. Then 13 again, this is all on top E, and then we're ending on, where are we? 15 on the B string. Okay, so nice and slow. Okay, one more time, nice and slow. Okay, and well, just that second to last note, you can kind of bend it a little bit if you want, so you get this. Okay, it's up to you. That lick also works really well here, because we're in the key of D and our root note is here. It's also here. If you've been following my lessons, you'll be well familiar with that by now. Okay, and then the third lick was this. Nice and slow. Starting 13 top E string, pulling off to 10. 13 on the B string, back to 10 on the top E. 13 on the B string, slide up 2 frets to the 15th and give it a shake. Nice and slow. And again, if you're familiar with my channel and my lessons up to now, you'll be well familiar with that particular lick as well, because I must have taught that or variations on it. Now, one thing you'll probably notice in the improvisation that I did is it's playing the lick, but it's kind of, certain times I varied it up as well. So I might start it or end it differently and that kind of thing. One of the things that is kind of important with this idea is that we'll take a lick that we already know and we're dropping it into our improvisation. And what we might need to do is we might need to tweak it slightly. We might need to change, maybe we learned that lick in a different key and we need to move it into like the current key. So let's say we learned this lick in A minor. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to adjust it so it's now in D minor. Okay, so take a lick that you've already know, change the key. Maybe you have to change the tempo, maybe you have to change the beat, those kind of things. Part of the improvisation is having that big bag of licks, pulling them out and trying them, but you might have to adjust them. You might have to adjust them for this particular song. And it's being able to do that. So that's why we kind of practice this improvisation and seeing how many times we can drop them in and kind of how it feels. So I'd also encourage you to do this with other licks that you know, that you've learned. See if you can drop other licks in as well. So homework for this week is I'm going to put the backing track on now, same backing track I jammed over. I want you to improvise over it and try and drop those 3 licks in. Learn those 3 licks and try and drop them in over the backing track as part of your improvisation. And then if you want kind of advanced homework, try and pull out some other licks as well and that you already know, and make sure you can drop those in as well. This is an idea that we're going to be carrying on in the next lesson, when we're going to look at some more licks and things to drop in and how we drop in specialized licks. So I hope you found the lesson useful. This lesson does actually come with tab, not tab for the whole solo, just for those 3 licks. So if you skipped or if you didn't catch the licks while it was on screen, shoot me an email, details in the description below, and I will email you the tab. But as I say, just the tab for these 3 licks, not the whole solo, because the point is you improvise and you're going to make it up yourself, but you're going to drop these 3 licks in. So I'll leave you with the improvisation with the backing track. I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you next time.